The Golden State Warriors are off to a surprisingly hot start. Now, despite in the offseason, Klay Thompson leaves for Dallas, and this breaks up the Splash Brothers for the first time in their careers, and we're seeing Klay have some success in Dallas to be nice, but Steph Curry and the Warriors have been looking good, and they've made up the production of Klay Thompson, at least peak Klay Thompson, with a bevy of different pieces, namely Buddy Hield. I mean, Buddy Hield has been excellent, and to be honest, since entering the league in 2016, he's been one of the more underrated shooters in this league. If you think about just the amount of makes he's had since entering, he's already amongst the top in his field basically as a sharpshooter. And him being the shooting guard at this position now, he doesn't give you much defensively, if anything at all, but he's been prolific, I think, and he's been a really good co-star to Steph Curry. Now, Steph obviously has gravity, so he takes a lot of attention from many defenses, but that only means that that's more opportunities for Buddy Hield to go off and have open looks that he maybe didn't get with other teams that he's been on in the past. I want to also give credit to Jonathan Kuminga, who maybe hasn't been the greatest of fits and probably will get traded at some point this year, but when he's been tasked with offensive possessions, I think he's been really good with what he's been asked to do. And being a productive player, I think he could have had an opportunity just to have the contract that he wanted, but he just kept looking for more. And at this point, I don't think he's going to look for that number that he once had. I don't think it's a Dennis Schroeder bag fumble, but it's kind of similar. I also think that Draymond, for as much heat I give him for his personal conduct on the court and even off the court with Jordan Poole, I think he's been playing at his typical stellar defensive play. And you're seeing also with Steve Kerr, he's been doing a good job with handling a new rotation in the Golden State Warriors. And also Andrew Wiggins. I mean, Wiggins has struggled the last couple of years, and some of it does due to personal problems, and some of it was due to personal reasons, and then health was a big factor last season. But I think this year, he's just been asked to defend and do a little bit of the dirty work, but not be the sole second scorer that the Warriors really needed from him in years past. I think that second scoring spot has gone to Buddy Hield, and if you get like 15 to 17 points out of Wiggs at this point with solid defense, I think that's plenty from Wiggs at this point is what you need for the Golden State Warriors. And in this run so far, I know the season is very young and it's just gotten started. Now, they did lose a couple games to the LA Clippers, but outside of that, with a healthy Steph Curry, they really have only lost 2 games, and it was to those LA Clippers. But in the recent road trip, their first big one that they had on the East Coast, they went to DC, beat down the Wizards. They went up to Boston, who I thought was a really good team, and while they didn't have Jaylen Brown for that matchup, they were really good against Jason Tatum's Boston Celtics, and they beat the Celtics in Boston. Now, just like any other team, they got blown out by the Cleveland Cavaliers when they were at their peak, but I mean, who hasn't really gotten blown out to Cleveland at this point except Boston? And if you think about the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that has been so good and many picked to be the Western Conference favorites, at least coming into this season, they handled business on their home floor as well. Last week, in Klay's return to Chase Arena, they went toe-to-toe, head-to-head, Splash Brother against Splash Brother, with Klay Thompson having one of his best games of the year despite him struggling with the Dallas Mavericks so far. And Steph really took it to his former teammate, where he was kind of turning it on to a different gear. He was held relatively in check for much of the game, but in the fourth quarter he got going. He said night to the Mavs and was really fired up, because it was a statement when he kind of kept the competitive fire on to a side until it really mattered, and was really fired up with the clinching three-pointer to seal the deal for the Golden State Warriors. And you couple that in with a win against the Memphis Grizzlies in the past week, it's looking pretty good for the Golden State Warriors. I mean, it's a different scheme. and you are not really asking Steph Curry to carry the load like he's had in the past. I think it's a lot more balanced, and I think that's a huge thing. But defensively too, I mean, all around, not just Steph, but not just Draymond, but as a team, their defensive scheme has been a lot better than in seasons past, and I think that's partially due to the youth movement as well. When you get rid of an older Klay Thompson who has lost a step on the defensive end, now he might be a decent shooter, but nowhere near the world-class defender that he was pre-ACL, pre-Achilles. But I think so far, this new look Warriors that has some retooled guys, including Moses Moody, who I forgot momentarily, but Moses Moody also, man, he's been killing it in limited minutes. I wish Steve Kerr gives him more time on the court, because he absolutely deserved it, because in any opportunity that he's there on the court, he takes advantage. So hopefully he gets that time that he deserves. But so far, I'm loving what I'm seeing on the Golden State Warriors, and I think that with OKC losing Chet Holmgren for a few weeks, and also without Isaiah Hartenstein, they're weak in the middle, and that only helps out the Golden State Warriors with their kind of stretch the court kind of mentality with small ball. So I think the Warriors maybe not be a top seed in the West, but I mean, top 3 was far more than what I projected them to be coming into the season.